Hello, angels. Hello, baby girls. Hello, anyone else who might be watching. Um, my name is Lavender, and we're hopefully in the midst of a productive December for this YouTube channel that I don't post on enough. That's because I'm releasing several videos recapping the year 2025 as it was in music. This is the second one, another short one, but one that I always enjoy doing during good years and bad. And what I mean by that is there's at least a handful of spectacular debut albums every year, which is why I've decided to grab my selections from 2022, 23, and 24 here as proof of that. But not every year goes that deep. When I started making this list in 2022, it was because there were just debuts on top of debuts that I adored. And the next year in 2023, wasn't so much the case. The back end of the list was a little shaky, but 2024, big recovery. Had to make some tough cuts for that one. Not so this time. Maybe it's like an alternating year thing because the debuts this year that were super duper beloved, I enjoyed them but didn't feel quite as strongly as some people. And I just didn't think there were that many really interesting projects that grabbed me. The list doesn't run as deep as, hypothetically I would like for it to. But regardless, we're going to do it anyway because it's fun. It's a fun thing to do and I like it. And just like every year, I'll say that this is purely an experiment in the moment right now, December of 2025. And the reason for that is because what will be considered the best debut albums one day probably aren't even on anyone's radar right now. They're maybe toiling away in band camps and beloved by a local scene, but all I can really say is that this list is made up of records that were big enough for me to get my eyes on. And I think they show not only a whole ton of promise in the long term, but a lot of excitement in the short term. My name is Lavender Alexandria, and these are my top 10 debut albums of 2025. Let's hit it. Number 10. Not happy about this one. Really wish I could have justified leaving this one off the list. I'm going to embarrass myself a little bit here. But number 10, got to go with the debut record from Somber. I Hardly Know Her. So Somber, Warner Records signee as of a few years ago, was one of the biggest breakthrough stars in all of music. In 2025, a trio of huge hits on the Hot 100 and mixed receptions from people. Some of the places that will hate on any popular artist because they're popular came through to hate on this guy. But honestly, there's some backlash. His meteoric rise and his TikTok-fueled hit singles definitely gave some people the stench of industry plant. I saw him called the male Gracie Abrams more than once, and we know how I feel about Gracie Abrams. But honestly, the more time I sat down with these singles as they were climbing the charts, the more I started to enjoy them. Undressed and Back to Friends in particular, and then this record dropped, and yeah, I guess I'm going to stick my neck out to try to defend this thing. For the record, I'll say whether or not he's technically an industry plant has never really mattered to me that much. What was way more cumbersome for getting into him is his fuck-ass name and the fuck-ass name of this album, and he is one to toss up a weird lyric about women here and there, even in songs I really like. But on the flip side of that, he seems really involved in the production and the recording of this record, the writing as well, in a way that sometimes, industry plant artists can feel so detached from their own music, but that's not the case with Somber. And you can tell because the album has a really tight thematic through line of his feelings, his angst towards women, his difficulties and sadnesses, processing relationships, particularly after they've passed. It's really, really present throughout the record. And it's a short record by pop standards, just 10 tracks, which I also really appreciate. And even though there's a stinker or two, I will say thematically, they tie together really well. More important than any of the signifiers I'm trying to pitch up to justify why I like this record, I just think the music is solid, you know? I mean, it's my 10th favorite debut of the year. You know, it's not. I'm not telling you this is like a masterpiece or anything, but Jesus Christ, did you hear some of the shit on the charts this year? Wait for my worst hits of the year video. I mean, you'll be begging to listen to some Somber. Is this working? Are you buying this? At number 9, another stupid name, but I'm gonna get away with this one. At least I hope so. If only because of how well known this band is in emo circles. We have the long awaited debut album from Michael Cera Palin.
This photograph is a misprint, a psychographical error.
Yeah, so this little emo project over here, Michael Cera Palin, has been around for a long ass time, and in a sense, kind of doing it the old-fashioned way. I've seen this band on tour probably like 5 or 6 times, open for so many different artists. They've had material out for a long time, an early EP and some singles that have really had a quite impressive shelf life and are still extremely beloved. The crowds at Michael Cera Palin shows kick ass, whether they're opening for Home Is Where or like Weather Day. And yeah, I think this debut album really builds off of that. I wouldn't really call it a particularly dramatic advancement in the sound or demeanor of their music, but it has the benefit of so much road testing. So songs here with their winding compositions have a really good quality about them where they don't do too much. You know, all of this feels very honed, very precise, and while it may not be as sporadic or lively as other emo records, it has a poise and a proficiency that I find myself pretty attracted to. It's a solid album. At number 8, fuck, they're gonna kill me for this one. No one is gonna make it halfway through the video. Why did I put this? Why did I do this to myself? Nina Geraci. With I Love My Computer.
It sounds like I chose a song that nobody knows, and I had it in a post when I was 12 years old.
Yeah, this time around it's going to be because it's not high enough. I would argue there were probably 2 debuts this year that would take the most broadly acclaimed crown. I'll be talking about the other one later, rest assured. Don't kill me over that either. But yeah, this Nina Geraci project, Australian producer who kind of brings together a more pure breadth of EDM with some very hyper pop adjacent ideas, who's crossed paths with a whole ton of different kinds of artists from different styles, came together with this record that really caught on with a lot of people quickly. And it's pretty easy to see why. I like her versatility. She is serving up infectious hooks that are very funny, very unique, on the nose sometimes, but very memorable, and really compelling beats to go with it. It's a good album. For some reason, I didn't find some of the more, I guess I'll say, tongue-in-cheek or even meme-ified songs from this record as compelling as the queer hyperpop and EDM community seems to, that have adopted them in a huge way. But honestly, it was some of the more intimate and vulnerable songs like Sing Good and Delete that really stuck with me, because I think they show off Nina as a songwriter playing with that proficiency really well and in a really memorable way. So yeah, even though I definitely have a lot of different feelings about this record than the consensus, I still think it's a really strong release and that you should listen to it. At number 7, God, we're all over the place stylistically. Another long-awaited debut, this time the punk route with the Lambrini Girls album, Who Let the Dogs Out.
Eyes at all times in the office. Let's have more fun in company culture. Pretend that I know how to use a computer.
Yeah, this is another kind of is what it is record. This is very much the side of punk music that doesn't take itself too seriously, that likes to grab your attention with bold politics and audacious subject matter, but they do it well, and they manage to weave it into a kind of ultra contemporary slang that I feel like is really refreshing for the sound of punk music when they're going this balls to the wall, like classic punk stylings, for them to be singing about like big dick energy or whatever in that snarling, sarcastic tone. It's just, it works. And while they may not be quite able to conjure the emotional caliber of fury as a band like Petrol Girls, for example, they are still infectious. It is impossible to hear this record and not pay attention to it. And what it does have to say, they say it in a way that sticks. Memorable is how I would describe this album. And so if real back to basics punk style appeals to you, honestly, this could be one of your favorite records of the year. And at number 6, we're going to get even heavier, this time coming from Jack White's Third Man Records. It is the Die Spitz album, Something to Consume. Yeah, I'll be the first person to admit that I was late on this one. My days of listening to everything Third Man Records releases just because they release it are definitely behind me. But I heard the performances that this band was giving at some music festivals getting buzz, and that is what eventually led me to tap back into this record, give it a few more listens, and really feel it click with me. This is so much of a bulkier punk record than an album like the Lambrini Girls album. There's just a lot more going on and more to it, but it's not in a way that feels muddled. It feels gritty, and it feels like it does a really good job supporting the subject matter at hand. Why this may not be as righteous and revolutionary, I guess, in its moment-to-moment theme, that doesn't mean that what it has to say isn't really compelling. But honestly, the defining characteristic of this record, what has stuck with me so much about it, has a lot more to do with how it sounds, how gritty it sounds, but how much it manages to do with that style. There's a lot of stylistic versatility across this record that I think is really impressive, and they pull it off with a pretty good consistency and come away with a bunch of tracks that is a little bit on the longer side for a record that sounds like this, but one that never feels bloated or wandering, as in, yeah, I like it a lot. Number 5, we're going a little, I guess, indie punk, DIY, indie pop punky, whatever, at its most hilariously transsexual, and that is the Jennifer album that teaches you how to spell their name, comma, Jennifer, question mark.
Listening to old guys. Break the song in half the time.
Shout out to the band for signing this for me. Jennifer, here with their debut album, with tracks that have gone, maybe viral is the wrong word for it, but have spread a lot in certain circles of the internet, consuming a more queer and DIY and underground style of music, so much so that there was a ton of anticipation in certain places going into this record, actually like weight to put on the pair's shoulders, but god damn did they live up to it. This record is so funny. It's so playful, this weird, funny concept of the character of Jennifer that like pervades a lot of this, but it never really feels like it's taking over any of the subject matter. They're just listening to old Grimes on the extreme standout old Grimes, or like the like flat out hilarious Car Wash. It's kind of rare for an album to like make me laugh like out loud as much as this one did. So did their live show, by the way. They fucking kick ass live. And so yeah, it feels really good for them to give into their most playful ambitions. It's really infectious. It's a record that invites you to play along and play along, I did all year because I listened to this thing a ton. I just learned today that the song Old Grimes made my Spotify Wrapped top 5 at number 5. So thank you, Jennifer. Number 4. It's the moment you all came here for. Sorry it's not higher. Okay, Lou.
Find a way to take me by the hand when the crisis has no name.
Yeah, French pop singer OK Lou did not really need the help of any cosigns in order for this to be a really highly anticipated record because coming into this, OK Lou already had a lot of momentum in certain like alt pop and art pop circles, and so people have been talking about this record for a while, but it doesn't help to have Blade and underscores there to throw up some great assists on the record's best songs. And yeah, what can I say that hasn't already been said by any of the thousands of other music writers heaping praise onto this record? It extracts so much from really gentle performances. It plays them to spacious but very inviting, very loving, very warm sonic palettes. And it does all of this in a settled and kind of nuanced way where the music achieves this extremely relaxing state. Nothing feels like it's competing for sound or space. It's just a gentle record, but a really beautiful one, and one that, even though I liked it at first, has grown on me with time. And I imagine if you gave this thing one shot and didn't fall in love with it, maybe take it for a spin one more time. At number 3, we are going to a very familiar world for me and like, I don't know, maybe 2 people watching this, the world of ambient tape loop records with the new Miffle album, Goodbye World. Shout out to the ambient music subreddit. I don't use Reddit, but someone I know who does, this is where they heard about the record, and they told me about it. I think it might have been Miffle themselves that posted it. This is a Polish ambient music artist who just shared this debut album that is fucking beautiful. Such a gentle exploration of tape loops, and one that almost seems like it must have some kind of field recording naturalistic element to it, because the ability of this record to conjure a naturalistic wintry sort of ambiance is staggering. And within that, it does a ton of beautiful things with the material being delivered here. Obviously, this is a subtle record, is a gentle record, is a quiet one, but the adjective you will be thinking of is beautiful. It is a beautiful record, one that in really subtle ways will reintroduce, alter, and shift familiar refrains to create this this whole world, this whole sphere, this sonic sound that just consumes you as the tapes loop and songs lower you deeper and deeper and deeper into those feelings. It's such an emotionally fluent record for something that can occasionally feel so naturalistic that it sounds like no human was involved in it. The emotional potency of this thing as a listening experience is remarkable. I know all of this is sort of very much in the abstract, but it's because not a whole ton is known or has been shared about this artist or the process they used to achieve this kind of electroacoustic tape loop sound, but that mystique only adds to a record that is just impressive in its subtlety, in its nuance, in its beauty, and in the unique sound palette that it manages to serve up. I'm dying to both know more about it and hear more from this artist, because even in a specific kind of small world of tape loop ambient music, it's easy to tell when something is special, and this is fucking special. At number 2, we've got another record that I think a lot of people are expecting to see on this list. I've been no stranger about really enjoying the last 5+ years of like post-punk coming out of like the UK and Europe, be it Black Country New Road, Black Midi, Viagra Boys, Squid, etc., etc. And this is not only a band that slots very comfortably into that style and that sound, but one whose EPs have already become so acclaimed and so beloved that they basically had a spot reserved in that upper echelon the moment this album dropped. I'm talking about Maruha with their debut, Pain to Power.
Human nature's venomous, that's something that I'm gifted. You're on a hit list, look over your shoulder. Face is smiling purple as the evil makers colder.
Yeah, this record rules. Is a combination of a punk energy, a punk ethos, a riotous ambition to upset the status quo, to avenge, to seek justice, and one that is delivered with a fury that conjures so many punk bands of the past, going back years and years, except unlike some of their thrashier and more to the point contemporaries like Lambrini Girls, I really think that this band came into it with something to say, and they do not flinch. And though that touches on a variety of topics, one thing you know is that you're never getting any less than exactly the message that they want to convey. But the way that it is delivered has so much experimental and post-punk influence, be it the sizzling saxophone that pervades so much of this record, or the weird winding compositions they take that only serve to circle back and set up moments even more intense and dramatic than you thought possible. Everything I loved about the various EPs that this band shared is present on this record. The frenetic intensity of their playing and the way that it serves these compositions, the way that it takes its downtime very seriously and very purposefully, and it makes that frenetic, intense instrumentation feel even better when it hits its true peaks. But also the rousing subject matter, the electric way with the performances backing that sort of just rallying call one time after another that the band is capable of conjuring. It is such a politically acute record, not in the sense that you need a PhD to understand what they're talking about. Honestly, I would say their subject matter is kind of impressively down to earth, but with the righteous fury they managed to put behind it, it just seems so obvious. I'm not sure I heard a record this year that made me as furious at the way that everything is, which is a pretty good testament for a band like Maruha, and one that I hope they'd be happy to hear. But my favorite debut album of the year, I don't think will come as a surprise to most people who have been watching my content and paying attention, because it's an artist that I was lucky to get in early on, and I have spent a lot of time dishing out praise for, and unsurprisingly, that is the new Jasmine 4T record, You Are the Morning.
You are the morning, you make the grass grow. You are the whole thought.
A second Oomphy signed vinyl has hit the table. What a sweetheart. Jasmine 4T, UK singer-songwriter, signed to the UK imprint of Phoebe Bridgers' Satisfactory label. This debut album, wall-to-wall production from Boy Genius of all people, and they also provide backing vocals on several songs here. There's an entire duet with Phoebe. So if you're in the realm of enjoying sapphic singer-songwriter music and you somehow have not heard this, what are you doing? You don't even need to finish the video. And where I have admittedly been a little bit critical of some of the most beloved artists in the sapphic singer-songwriter world, I think that everything that Jasmine is doing is kind of remarkable. I think it plays on a quiet stillness in its best moments that I am just obsessed with. The gentlest parts of this record, a song like New Shoes, which I think is so underrated, just shows off what makes her unique as a singer, as a songwriter, and as an artist with a vision for her music that is palpably vulnerable in a time where that kind of vulnerability is necessary. This record doesn't really conjure feelings of like just girly things, Tumblr relatability. I think it is a lot more about digging into feelings in a more forbearing, truthful sense, which honestly can make some of the subject matter unfortunate and sad and depressing and achingly real. But to have connected with it like that is just such a treat. From hearing spectacular early singles like Skin on Skin and Elephant all the way to this developing, this blush, full, delightful, inviting but very vulnerable, very touching debut album is just incredible. It's amazing that at this point in her career as a singer-songwriter, Jasmine already has both the songwriting and the music and instrumentation parts of her concept honed in so well in order to play to her strengths in a really compelling and frankly really irresistible way. And so this record is very different from a lot of the other albums that I've talked about on this list. It got away with more punk and post-punk than I realized. But for the indie, the folk, the singer-songwriter side of things, forget debut albums. I don't think you can get any better than this with any album that dropped in 2025. Call it a must listen. And that's it for Miss Lavender. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again, hopefully soon, when I try to tackle the best songs of the year, though. Got to put a lot more work into that before it's ready. And have a good December. Yeah, have a good December.